Okay. So firstly, I just wanted to welcome all the viewers at home who are watching this. Thank you for making the time, and welcome to the 7th European Film Festival. My name is Shubnum Khan, and I'm talking to Niels van Koevorden. I'm saying that right? The pronunciation.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. I want to welcome you to the 7th European Film Festival. I was just telling Niels that I enjoyed the movie so much, and I have a lot of questions which we'll try to get through. So one of the first comments I made was that the acting seemed so natural, and that was the thing that stood out for me in the movie, was that, you know, I suppose as a filmmaker, you want the camera, there's that idea that you don't want the camera to be noticeable, and you kind of want it to look like you're just looking at the scene, especially in a film about family. You kind of want it to just look like you're catching a moment, you know, in a family's life. And I wanted to know, how was it directing, particularly the two female actresses as a child, and Mona as a child and as an adult? Did you both have to do a lot of, you and Sabine, did you both have to do a lot of work to get them to be that natural? Because it almost looks like there's no effort, but I know, I mean, I'm a writer, I know when it looks like there's no effort, there's a lot of work going behind the scenes to make it look like that.
There's a lot of work, but it's a lot of different work than usually is being done on a fiction set, I think. Sabine and I are co-directors, and we are documentary filmmakers, actually. So it's our first feature film with actors. And for us to be able to work on a set, the scene has to be there, and we have to be able to catch it with a camera. So, for example, traditionally wise, you would shoot a scene like first you would shoot that side, and then you would put all the lights to that side, and then you shoot the other side. And with us, we shoot 360 degrees all around. So it's a different style of work, and it's very long takes. Like we shoot takes like 15, 20 minutes. And the work that has been done, like directing the actors, is mostly directing their role in the film. So the rehearsals were a lot of talking about, okay, who is this Mona? And how does she react towards all these egos, or the parents, or the boyfriend, or the theater director? Like, how does she take it? Like, how does she, what happens with her? What is this character? How does she react? How does she talk? How does she walk? How does she, and the difficult thing with Mona is that she's a very passive character. So we had difficulties finding an actress that you would still keep looking at her, while all the other parts in the film, all the other actors, these are very big and extravagant roles. So it's easy to look at them, but so with Tanya, we found an actress that we really loved, because she was just standing there looking at the people, and still it would touch you in a way.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I didn't realize. Yeah, you'd have to find someone who can still take up presence on the screen without doing much.
Yeah.
Especially in comparison to these loud characters around her. But then, you know, the move between the two is so seamless between Olivia and Tanya, because I didn't think they were two different actors. You know, it's a shift. Yeah, we're jumping between ages, but I was like, here she is. Here's Mona again, you know, as an adult. I don't know if the one watched the other, or the other watched the one, but
one
they just picked up
a little bit. But it's basically the look in their eyes, which is kind of the same. They have really different hairstyles. I think for us, a big example, because these three parts and the different ages, also with the stepmother, it was a question for us, like how to deal with it. And a big example was Moonlight, where there's, I think, 3 different actors playing the main actor, but still it's the same type of boy, you know, like
you
just go.
The feel to them is the same.
Yeah.
The texture of them is the same.
And another thing maybe that was special in our way of working is that we asked all the actors from the family to do a family constellation with us. That's like a thing they use in therapy. And basically what you do is that you take something from your past and you try to make a constellation. Like, for example, I have a problem with my mother, and I would ask you to play the mother, and I will put you on the floor, and then I can put my father behind, and then things start to move and start to happen. And it's a way to talk about things from your past, which the film obviously is about. And we ask the actors to do that, not in their role, but as who they are, like to come with a personal thing from their past and to take that into the film, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think it worked because I felt like, I just felt like I was watching any family with their problems, and it felt real. It felt very real, and that's kind of where it really touched me. And I loved Mona even as a character. There's a lot of films about, and it's necessary, like loud women or women trying to get their voice. And then the majority of the film is about them getting that voice. And the majority of this film is just about her being quiet and right at the end, but we don't talk enough about quiet women. And there's so many out there, so that really spoke to me. So I guess
also because not all problems are solved in life, right? Like, our previous film was a film about two alcoholics, and the film is not about if they stop drinking. It's about two guys that drink too much because they won't stop.
I know. I was watching interviews that you've done about that movie, and I was thinking I need to see this movie. So I guess that brings me to this question: why did you want to tell this story? I mean, I know it's a book, but why did you all choose this one to bring to the screen?
It's kind of a funny story because with our first film, which was a feature documentary, we traveled quite a lot to festivals, and the last festival was in New Caledonia, which is, for us, it's like you can't fly further, like it's too a long distance flight. And we bought this book on the airport because the title in Belgium, Kom hier dat ik u kus, is something that I would use to say to Sabine, which is also my partner in life and the mother of our children. In Bosnian, because I lived there for a while, there was this sentence that I would say to her just for fun. So we kind of laughed about it. Oh, that's funny in the title. And then we took the book with us and we read it and we both cried and laughed. And there was so much recognition because both of us grew up in Belgium. So it was kind of trip down memory lane for us too. And I remember saying to her, like, oh man, if we grow up and we would make fiction one day, like it wasn't even our wish to make a fiction. Like a story like this would be really something for us. And then accidentally, 6 months later, the writer of the book, Griet Op de Beek, she wrote a review about our documentary in a Belgian newspaper. And it was a very nice review, but there were some factual mistakes in it. So people started to react on Facebook, like, okay, this is not right and this is not correct. And then she excused herself and tagging us in this message. And so we woke up one day seeing this message on Facebook and we said, okay, let's just let's just write her a message and say, okay, apologies accepted, but can we have a coffee with you because we really love your book. Are the film rights still available? And then 2 weeks later, we were sitting in a restaurant talking about the story, and then it was very obvious that we both wanted, like, that we would make the film.
Wow, that's a very interesting story to the way the movie happened.
Yeah, it's and it was very nice because we felt in this first conversation that she just wrote the script of her first novel for a film, and she realized that it was really not up to her to write the script for this book. So she was like, okay, take it, rip it apart, do whatever you want, but please make it yours. Don't tell the story again, and please do whatever.
Yeah, I saw when she spoke about the film, she said they made it their own, which I think is such a compliment. So.
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah.
Okay, so even your last film, I've seen this come up. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen this come up where they call it, tragic comedy, and this one as well, tragic comedy. Why do you think you're not drawn to telling those kind of stories? I know laughter and sadness are very close to one another, and maybe it's commentary on that, but it does seem to me that you're drawn to those kind of stories. And why do you think it's so?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's funny because in the applications that we wrote for the film funds, there was always like a tragic comic story about Mona, but in the end, I don't think it's such a comic film.
I wanted to say that. I really wanted to say that, but everywhere I look, it's promoted as tragic comedy.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I hope people are not deceptive when they get out of the cinema. The thing is that when people leave the cinemas, they start to talk about their own lives, about, okay, who do I refer to, or how would I deal with this? Or I had people like having fights in the car back home, like couples after seeing this film. Why do we make tragic comic films? I don't know. I think we are very drawn to drama, but I think we realize that comedy is very important in a film, also to give it some room, some breathing, something.
And I suppose also dealing with tragedy, you have to deal with it with a bit of, to bear that burden, you have to deal with it with a bit of humor. Otherwise, you can't take on that
especially
burden,
these days.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I don't know. I think in Becoming Mona, the comedy part is that there's at certain points too much tragedy that you can only laugh a little bit because it's just too tough, I think.
I do think it is at times, like when Marie is screaming at the table, at the Christmas dinner table, and she's got her grandchild there, and it's terrible. And then in the end she's like, I'm so sorry about that, and like. It's so ridiculous that normal moment after such a crazy moment. And that's kind of the comedy I see in it, that we just have to kind of like get through these craziness. And that said, this is unrelated to what we're talking about right now, but I always wanted to tell you that scene where small Mona, I'm going to say small Mona and big Mona, where small Mona, her parents are arguing and she takes a cigarette to her wrist. And that for me was like, that will stand out for me in the movie because, it's kind of in the beginning of the movie, so you don't know what everyone's relationship is exactly, whether her father, or, by the end you realize, but at that point you're not sure. And then he just immediately drops everything and comes to her and picks her up. And this is Mona, who's just always giving herself up and who's doesn't say anything, and she's showing emotion and he's showing emotion back to her, and you suddenly like that moment touches you, and she doesn't say anything, she's just crying, and you just see her. I think it's right just at the end of that scene before she becomes an adult, you show her looking around, not saying anything, but she's just looking around, her father is holding her. And I thought that moment, like, I was so glad in the book, in the film, she had her father, at least one person.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's why it's a catalyst for her when whatever happens later in the film.
Yeah, the horrible thing is you have to burn yourself to get attention. But
yeah, but I didn't know if she would get the attention, But yeah, I mean,
it was a horrible scene to shoot. Like we all knew, the whole crew knew, we can only do this once. So I think my heartbeat went 180, like behind the camera, and Sabine's also, and everybody was okay. What is going to happen? Because we didn't know exactly, because a lot of it is improvisation. We knew that we had to work towards this moment. And then,
was it just one take?
It was just one take. And then Olivia, which is kind of a Mona, of course, she doesn't really say what she doesn't like. She just does as you ask. And she worked very, very hard on set. And this was the only time that she said to Sabine, who did the directing of the actors, she said, I'm not doing this again. I hope you have it, but I'm not doing this again. So, and I think it was also because she was thinking about something from her life. She wasn't just playing a situation. She was thinking about something from her
Yeah.
small past.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it was terribly, but a great scene.
Yeah.
So then, also what I see when I read up about it is it's about egos. And I know in another interview you also said the last movie was about egos. And I'm interested in understanding why this exploration about egos and how yeah, I mean, why do a film that's got all these characters who have such big egos? And the last film was also, I remember you did an interview where you said that you wanted to explore this idea of the egos. Is there any reason why you were drawn to that?
I don't know if the last film was an exploration of egos. It was more that Sabine and I had to fight our own egos as a couple, as co-directors, so I think now we've solved that in our last movie. We can look at other egos in this movie. I don't know, Griet wrote it, and what is very interesting is it also has to do with Me Too and other problems that are now very accurate in society, I think. So, and of course, it's very clear that Mona needs these egos in the story to talk up to, like.
So for us to see who she is, kind of. Yeah.
The thing, basically, she is drawn to these guys. Like, her story is that she is drawn to this type of men. It's not them searching her; it's her searching them. So, and that's because of who she is in her past.
I was disappointed to see we didn't get to see her and her boss, where she comes to her own realization of who she is, because we see it with her stepmother and with her partner. But is that in the book, or was that just you didn't put that in, like where she almost has a confrontation with him as opposed to with her stepmother and with her partner?
I think as a child she doesn't have a confrontation. I think
not
even
as a child, as an adult, yeah.
As an adult, she has, yeah. But so what was your exact question?
At the end of the movie, well, I don't know if people are watching this after they've watched the movie or before, but she has a confrontation with, the whole conclusion with her stepmother and her partner.
Yeah.
But we never see her have that moment with her director boss,
Oh yeah, that's true.
And I just wish, because I really wanted her to just have that moment. But I mean, I don't know, maybe that, maybe you didn't think that was necessary, but I wondered if that was in the book, or it just was not, it was enough to say that she'd found her voice.
Honestly, I don't remember. I think, and
okay.
Because in the beginning we kind of read the book a second time, and then we just left the book for what it was, just to make it our story.
Yeah.
And I guess also because Marcus, the theater director, and Louis, the writer, they look a little bit like their parts are a bit the same. So we made Louis like the intellectual writer who talks a lot and who is very, who is kind of a different type than Marcus, which is really, he's a physical guy, and he's more sexual and more, there's another story there. So, and I think in the how do we say this in English? In the dramaturgic line of the film, like you can only have an outburst once at the end of the film, because it was clear for us that Mona had to stay flat all the time. Like there was in writing, we tried like, okay, does she have an outburst or a smaller one? But no, it had to be clear that it was only until the end. Because the thing with this film is basically the titles saying "Kom hier dat ik u kus," so come here so that I can kiss you. So Mona makes this move all the time. She goes towards people, towards, and then only once in the end of the film she walks away. She makes, she takes the other direction.
Yeah. But we also see her first moment of hesitation when her partner calls her towards him, and she hesitates for a moment, and then you start, maybe she's seeing something,
Yeah. it's awful that she comforts him in the end of that scene.
Yeah. And then this might just be because of the book, but why did you stick with breaking it into 3 parts? I know the English version is called Mona in 3 parts, but why did you want to stick to that? That was a chosen decision?
Yeah, first the question of the producer was, okay, are we gonna cut it all up and intercut these times? But for us, it was very clear that to stay this way. We never even tried to do it elsewhere, because we think that in these blacks between these chapters, there is a lot of time that we don't tell in the film, but that you can think about. Like, you can think about the time that happens between there. And I think that's an interesting way of storytelling. It's the same in Moonlight. Like, I think in the 3rd part, then he's in prison and then somebody died, and it didn't, you don't see it in the film, but you can relate to it because it happened in this little part of black that's in between the chapters.
Yeah, it leaves it up to the imagination almost.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think my last question is just a title. It's why Becoming Mona? Because I've seen the English title of the book, of the novel, was Mona in 3 parts, and then the Dutch version is Kom Hier, which is very similar to Afrikaans, by the way. I could understand a lot of stuff because I was picking up on the Afrikaans. I mean, was there any reason, or was that your decision?
There was a lot of brainstorming about this title, and I'm not really 100% sure of it still. The thing is that the title in Flemish, because it's written in Belgium, in the Flemish part of Belgium, is so well chosen for this book. Yeah. It was awful to translate it in any other language, basically. I think we opted for Mona, Mona, Mona. But then the sales agent or the distributor didn't like, I don't know. There's a lot of opinions about English titles. So in the end, we decided to do Becoming Mona, because it has something of, she has to become who she is, basically. And in the end of the film, there's a first little part of that process that we can see.
Well, I love the original title, and even in Afrikaans, there's a saying, come here, I'll give you a kiss, Yeah. So I think that
for me, it's like the great song of Jacques Brel, Ne me quitte pas, which everybody thinks is a love song, but basically he says, "Don't leave me." It's a very claiming move.
Yeah.
It's the same with this.
I can see how the whole film, the whole book is born out of that title. I can see it's encapsulated in that. Yeah. But it was great speaking to you, and I'm so glad you were able to make time. So thank you for that, making time to spend at the festival, even though it was virtually. And I'm hoping that things get better in Europe soon and things start opening up. And we wish you all the success for the film. And I want to thank any viewers also who are watching. Thank you for making the time at home to watch the film, to the festival. And if you want to visit the website, it's www.eurofilmfest.co.za. And you can find out about other films and special events that are happening there. And please follow us on social media. Thank you so much again, Niels. And it was lovely speaking to you.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.